Hello, and welcome to this video solutions for the QA section of the sample paper, official sample paper released by IIM Bangalore. So we're going to start with QA first and other sections will follow. Let's get into it straight away. So the first question that you see is straight away a bouncer coming from the core maths of the 12th grade. There is a question on limits. So there is limit x tending to 0, and then you have sin x minus tan x times sin x minus x times tan x, or divided by x raised to n. They have said is a finite non-zero number and we need to find the value for n. Okay, great. So the first thing that you should know by now is the Maclaurin's expansion for sin x. How does sin x behave when x is tending towards 0? So basically the sin x series is what is x minus x cube upon 3 factorial plus x raised to 5 upon 5 factorial and so on and so forth. What you have to understand is as you keep going ahead, higher powers of x, when x is a very small quantity, becomes lower and lower and lower. So we can conveniently ignore also. That's for sin x. So sin x minus x, if I take that first x on the left hand side, sin x minus x will almost be equal to, I can say, minus of x cube by 3 factorial or 6. Okay. Other term, tan x. Now, tan x, the series is almost again equal to just a plain x when x is nearing to 0. These are very standard values. People who have done limits will obviously know this and should not take a lot of time. People who are not done or have left for whatever reasons, not a very difficult question. So, if you know these properties, you should be able to do it. Great. Okay. Now let's get into the question. So I have sorted the first part of the numerator, sin x minus x. Sin x minus x, I'm going to write this as minus x cube by 6 times tan x, which is nothing but x. Okay. So minus x cube by 6 times x. This thing is divided by x raised to n. Okay. So this thing is divided by x raised to n. So for example, let's say if I divide by x raised to n or write x raised to minus n, correct? So if I just write this as a minus 1 by 6 times x raised to 4 minus n. If I combine this, so now what is this happening is basically I've written this whole thing as a constant times x raised to 4 minus n. Correct? Constant times x raised to 4 minus n, right? Now, we want to find a finite non-zero number, which means we are trying to find a constant, which means we are not really interested in this term that's a variable. I want to get rid of this term. When will I get rid of this term? If I make the power of x 0, so that x raised to 0 becomes 1 and x disappears. When will the power of x become 0? 4 minus n has to be equal to 0. So, therefore, n has to be equal to 4. Correct? So, we are going to say option C here. Moving on to the next question now. This question, I would put it as moderate, but actually towards easy. I'm tempted to put towards easy, but yeah, maybe moderate for most of you. Value of an item depreciates by X% every year, they've said. Great. Present value of the item is 109350. This is present value, means after depreciation. Value after 3 years, further depreciation of 3 more times, we are going to reach 79716. 2 years ago from now, the value must be what? So basically 2 years ago we need to find. But first we need to understand the amount of depreciation or X. If you just maybe tweak the understanding slightly, let's just for simplicity assume, just for our convenience, that it depreciates 10% every year. Now, if it is depreciating 10% every year, we understand that it is becoming 90% of the previous year. So, whatever this rate today is, next year it's going to be 90% of today's rate. The year after that is going to be 90% of the previous year's rate. Year after that will be 90% of the previous year's rate, so on and so forth. So, focus on what it is becoming after the depreciation. Forget this X. Okay. So, let's say it becomes P% after that X% depreciation. If you think about depreciation or that amount by which it is depreciating, you have to think in terms of what it is becoming anyway. So, then the formula will become 100 minus X upon 100 every time you keep multiplying. It unnecessarily adds to the complication. So I am thinking of it as what it is becoming and not by what it is getting depreciated. Okay. So let's say it becomes P% of the previous year's amount, right? So present value of the item, they say 109350 into P% after the first year. In the second year, another P%. In the third year, another P%. It's after that, what is this becoming? It is becoming 79716.15. Remember, you are in an IIM Bangalore mock and you have access to your on-screen calculator. Here, I will want you to use your on-screen calculator. Calculate the value of P cube. P cube is nothing but 79716.15 divided by 109350. I did this on my calculator. I found this as 0.729. If P cube is 0.729, P has to be what? P has to be 0.9. So it's actually becoming 90%. I had just taken an example. It's actually becoming 90%, which means X, the depreciation, is 10%. Okay. Now, exactly the same way, we will now go 2 years ago. They have said 2 years ago from now, it must be what? Which means some value after depreciating twice has become 10950. 109350. Okay. So that's some value. Let's call that value as X, whatever. So X times 0.9 times 0.9 will become what? Will become 109350, which means X is nothing but 109350 on 0.81 straight away. Again, second calculation on your calculator and you are going to get a straightforward answer, 1,35,000. So it's a good question to use your calculator, because without that, it's going to take a lot of time. More importantly, it will take a lot of your energy. And definitely not worth it in a mock, losing energy on such stupid things. Okay. So yes, option 1, 1,35,000 should be your answer in this question. You should use your calculator. Moving on to the next question now. Next question is a PNC question, maybe moderate or slightly above moderate, but not undoable, definitely. 10-digit number selected at random from the set of all possible 10-digit numbers. Probability that sum of these 10 digits is odd. Okay, so when will the sum of the digits be odd? And we know there are 10 digits. If you have odd number of odd digits, your answer is odd. If you have even number of odd digits, you have 2 odd digits, it's going to be even. See, even digits anyway is going to give you even, so you don't have to bother. That's not what we are trying to look for. We're trying to look for odd, and that too odd number of odd and not even number of odd. Okay, very important. The number of choices for every place except the first place will be same. First place, we can't have 0. So for the first place in a 10-digit number, we have only 9 choices from 1 to 9. For all the other places, from the second place to the 10th place, we have 10 choices. We'll first do that bit. Okay, so first place, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. Everything from here, we have 10 choices. And we have to understand that out of these 10 choices, 5 are odd, 5 are even. Which means the probability of having an odd digit or an even digit is always going to be half. Right? In the first place, out of the total 9 digits, we have 5 as odd and 4 as even. Right? 5 as odd and 4 as even. So the probability of first digit being odd is 5 by 9. Correct? Now, other 9 digits probability we know is 5 by 10 or half. Okay. Now, sum of all digits we discussed will be odd only when we have odd number of odd digits. Correct? So, odd number of odd digits will be equal to what? Basically, half of 5 by 9 plus half of 4 by 9. Right? I think this part is the important part for us to understand. We can directly take half common and we'll have 5 by 9 plus 4 by 9, 9 by 9. Final answer is going to be half. So, we're going to say option D, 0.5. If you're not able to understand this direct solution, what you can also do is take a very simple example. Let's say we take an example of only 2 digits. Basically, the number of digits, there is no constraint, additional constraint given on a 10-digit number, correct? Which means the logic that will work for 2-digit or for 3-digit will be same. So if you are not, if this thing does not strike you, you should have tried for 2-digit number understanding. So if I just have to explain one more method, 2 digits. Okay. Now, we want the numbers to be basically the sum of the digits to be odd. When will the sum of the digits be odd? When we will have an even digit plus an odd digit, or an odd digit plus an even digit. I'm getting into exact one places at it being odd or even. Okay, so even plus odd will give us odd, or odd plus even will give us odd. Or odd plus odd and even plus even both are going to give us even, so we are not interested there. Correct. So now, how do we calculate for the first case? How many cases do we have for the first digit to be even not being 0? For the first to be even not being 0, you will have what? 4 cases, 2, 4, 6 and 8. And for the fifth, you have, for the odd rather, you have 5 possibilities, right? So this is 20. For the first being odd, you have all 5, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this is 5. Even then in the second place, even all 5 are allowed. So this is also okay. So this is 25. So this total is becoming 45. So basically 45 is our numerator. Okay, we are trying to find probability. So 45 on the total number of 2-digit numbers. How many 2-digit numbers? 99 minus 10, 89 plus 1. So 90. So this also gives you half. You could have done this for 3 digit. It's obviously going to be slightly lengthy, but if it works for 2 digits, it's going to work for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, any number of digits. So this method is also all right. Moving on to the next question. Looks a simple question of partnership. The only important part is to find the ratio. That is slightly tricky, but not very difficult. We are in an IIM Bangalore mock. So yes, questions are going, the baseline of difficulty only rises. Also, you have 2 minutes per question. I would say it's more than 2 minutes per question, because I don't think, you should gun for attempting all 30, because not everybody will be able to attempt all 30. Obviously, if you can, nothing better, but don't look at it like a 30 question and 60-minute game. Some questions might be in the unattemptable category completely. So maybe a 25, 26, 27 questions is a very good number to attempt and get right, which means you still have more than 2 minutes per question. For an exam scenario where you have 2 minutes per question, bare minimum, you definitely have slightly more than that. This is definitely in the doable category. So in the context of this exam, I would put this question as category A. Okay. One, because it is partnership, you already know, you should be comfortable with the topic. Second, all said and done, you still have to only work with ratios. So nothing difficult that way. So definitely an out and out category A question. Okay, let's get into it. PQR partnership, P contributes 1/5 of the whole. Let's say the total is T. So P is contributing T by 5. Q contributes twice as much as P and R together. So this is my P. So T by 5 plus, let's say, R. This part is Q, and I've done this part as P. This is my Q, and R is R, and this is my total. Correct? Okay. So quickly now let's add T by 5 plus T by 5. Sorry, this P said twice. Okay, I'm sorry. So plus 2 times this plus R is total. Great. So T by 5 plus 2T by 5 is actually 3T by 5. You have 2R plus R is 3R. That is equal to T. 3T by 5, I take that side. So T minus 3T by 5. 5T minus 3T, 2T by 5. So 3R is equal to 2T by 5. Now, if I do this, if I cross multiply, R becomes 2 by 15 of the total. So R's ratio is 2 by 15 of the total. Just because the ratios, I want to connect P, Q and R together. P I know is T by 5. If I have to convert this into 15, it will become 3 by 15, multiplying with 3 on the both sides. So P's new ratio is 3T by 15. R we know is 2T by 15. So if you see, P and R together have contributed what? 5T by 15, which means Q should contribute 10T by 15, double of P and R together, correct? So Q directly we get 10T by 15. And now we are sure, we have all the three in terms of T. We can very easily find out the ratio of P is to Q is to R. Okay, so P is to Q is to R is nothing but T can get cancelled, 15 can get cancelled. So 3 is to 10 is to 2. What have we asked? Difference between Q and combined share of PNR. So 10 minus 3 plus 2, 5. So basically we are trying to find 5 of how much? Of 15 parts. So 5 on 15 is roughly 1/3 is what we are trying to find. 1/3 of what? 1/3 of this guy. Who is this guy? 55,000. Yes, no, 5,55,540 is 1/3. Okay. So this is 1 times, and 25 will give me 8, and 15 will give me 5, and yes, there is only one option starting with 185. I am not going to waste my even single breath calculating further. I am marking option B, 185,180. That should be your answer. Moving on to the next question. Again, like the previous question, little tricky, not the easiest of time and work, but given that we have minimum 2 minutes per question, maybe slightly more time and work, manageable area, familiar area, etc., will make this question definitely doable. Let's get into it straight away. A completes something in 120 hours, B completes in 180, and C completes in 216. So obviously we have to start with the LCM of these. So let's say A, so I know A 120, B 180, and C 216. If I have to take the LCM, 120, 180, 12, 12, and 12. If I take 12 out, I'm left with what? Let me just change the ink here. I'm left with a 10, I'm left with a 15, I'm left with an 18. LCM of 10, 15 and 18, 90. So basically, I'm assuming my total work to be 90 into 12. Now, 90 into 12 divided by 120. So, A's efficiency is going to be what? 9 units per hour. B's efficiency to 6. So, 6 units per hour. And C's efficiency is going to be 5 units per hour. Great. Okay, so now we have the efficiencies. Now what is very, very important, or rather the most important part of this, nth cycle ABC work for n hours. First cycle everybody works for 1 hour. So in the first cycle, what happens? A comes, B comes and C comes. So on the first day, A will work for only 1 hour, B will work for 1 hour, C will work for 1 hour. First cycle is completed. Second cycle, or rather the fourth day, A works for 2, B works for 2, 3 works for 2 hours. Third cycle, A works for 3 hours, B works for 3 hours, C works for 3 hours. Okay, that's the meaning of that statement. So what happens here? If I have to write, let's say, first cycle. So in the first cycle, what is going to happen? 9 plus 6 plus 5 is what is going to happen in the first cycle, 20 units. In the second cycle, what is going to happen? A is going to work for 2 hours, so 18. This guy 12 and this guy 10. So 30 and 10, 40. So if you see, it is doubling. In the third cycle, it is going to be what? 3 into 20. So it's going to be 60. So basically what you have to understand is now it is an AP of 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 and so on and so forth. What have they asked is the number of days and not number of cycles. Correct? And each cycle is 3 days. If you look at your options, all options are 29 days and something. So how many cycles must have definitely been completed? What's the nearest multiple of 3 there? 27. Correct. So 9 cycles definitely are over, and 9 into 3, 27 days are definitely over. Now, 9 cycles are over means what? There are 9 such terms: 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, so until 180. That's the 9th multiple of 120. Correct. So after 9 cycles, what must have happened, or after 27 days, what must have happened? Let's quickly calculate that. Now, after 9th cycle, the work done must be equal to 20 times 1 plus 2 till 9. Correct? This is the total work done. In how many days? In 27 days. So 1 plus 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. 9 into 10, 90 by 2, 45. 45 into 20 is 900. So 900 units are over in 27 days. Where we have to go? We have to reach 1080 units. Okay. On the 28th day. On the 28th day, that's the 10th cycle. So A is going to work for 10 hours. When A will work for 10 hours, A is going to contribute 90 more units on the 28th day. Correct? 28th day. We've still not reached our target. So 29th day will also come in the picture. B will now also work for 10 hours. B is going to contribute another 60. So 990, 990, 990 and 60. 990 and 60 is 1050. So 1050 units are over. 29 days are over. We are very close to the finish line. Now, the next day, only 30 more units are to be done. C can do what? 3C can do 50 units because he is going to work 10 hours, right? So, out of 50, C needs to do only 30, which means he will work for 3/5 of the day. 3/5 of the day is nothing but 0.6. So, our answer is 29 days and 0.6. So, 29.6. We're going to say option C. So as I told you, only this part, AP part was a little tricky, but definitely doable, not very calculation heavy, not very difficult to understand. Plus, it's one of the easier areas, time and work. So definitely a doable category question. Okay, moving on to the next question. Again, a question on counting, not very difficult, moderate question. 200 lines L1 to L200, all lines of the form L4N, which means L4, L8, L12, they are parallel to each other. 4n minus 3, so line L3, L7, L11, etc. Pass through a point P. So they are all concurrent lines. Okay. Maximum possible number of points of intersection of the pairs of the line. So other other lines we have not been told. How many lines will we have which are parallel? Out of 200, every fourth line is parallel. So 50 parallel lines. So if I have to just think about this, or rather divide this whole thing, there are three kinds of lines: parallel lines, then there are a few which are concurrent lines, and other lines I don't know any data, so I'm just going to write other for now. How many parallel lines we have? 50, and 50 concurrent lines, which means there will be 100 other lines, correct? Parallel lines will contribute how many points of intersection? Obviously 0. Concurrent lines, all 50, will contribute how many points of intersection? 1. That guy P. Okay. Other lines will contribute how many points of intersection? They are not parallel, they are not concurrent. Each line can intersect in, two lines can intersect in 1 point. So I'm going to say 100C2. 100C2 is nothing but 100 into 99 upon 2. Okay. So 50 into 49, answer is going to be 4950. Now, these are the points of intersection only amongst the other lines. Now is the most important bit. Now we have to also think about parallel lines, all 50 parallel lines with 50 concurrent lines. So, what is this going to contribute? What? Parallel with concurrent. 50 parallel lines with 50 concurrent lines is going to contribute how much? They are going to contribute 2500 points, 50 into 50. Concurrent with other, 50 into 100, so they are going to contribute 5000 points, and parallel with other, 50 into 100, another 5000 points. Okay, but that's about it. We just now have to total. So 5000 and 5000 is 10,000, 5000, 5000, 10,000 and 2500. So 12,500, we have 4950 and a 1. So 1, let's see where we go, 5. 9 plus 5, 14 and 1 carry, 13 and 4, 17. Our answer is 17,451. None of the given options in the official mock match, but I genuinely think 17,451 should be the answer given the question. If they have missed giving any additional constraint, might be that a number of lines will be lesser, because as per the options, all options are in 1000s, early 1000. So there should have been some additional constraint. But if the question is taken as it is, answer should be 17,451. Moving on to the next question now. Slope of the tangent to the curve. What is the curve? X square minus 4 cos x. Now, we need to find the slope of this guy and we need to maximize the slope. Okay, great. So, they have given y is equal to what? X square minus 4 times cos x. Right? Now, because we need to find the slope of the tangent, what is the first thing we are going to do? Calculate the derivative. So, this is 2x. And cos x is derivative is minus sin x. So, minus minus plus times 4 sin x. Clear? This is nothing but what? This is nothing but the slope of the tangent. I hope all of you understand this. Okay. Now, the slope of the tangent is maximum when x is equal to. So, basically, we need to maximize this function. We need to maximize y dash. How do you maximize y dash? You calculate the derivative equate to 0. Okay. This is a normal maxima function. So, I'm going to now calculate derivative of y dash. Let me write this as y double dash, which is nothing but equal to 2x's derivative obviously is 2 and 4 sin x is becoming 4 cos x, right? Equating this to 0 because we want to maximize this. So, 4 cos x is minus 2, cos x is minus 2 by 4. So, cos x is minus half, right? Cos x is minus half. Now, between 0 to pi is what they have given. Between 0 to pi, when is cos x minus half? Cos x is minus half at x is equal to 2 pi by 3. So, yes, x is therefore is going to be equal to option A, 2 pi by 3. Moving on to the next question now. Again, a mid-level trigo question, okay? Fx is tan inverse of under root of 1 minus cos x upon 1 plus cos x, and x is again between 0 and pi. Normal to the y at f of x is equal to, at x is equal to pi by 3, passing through which point? So, we're trying to find the point of intersection. Okay. Very, very, very important. If you don't know this, you'll end up doing a very long method, but if you know, it's great. Half angle formula is what I'm trying to talk about. Okay. Tan of x by 2 is nothing but under root of 1 minus cos x upon 1 plus cos x. So, if you are doing your core maths, this is something that you cannot or should not know. You should be knowing this. So, tan of x by 2 is this, which means this whole function reduces to a very, very simple f of x is equal to tan inverse of tan of x by 2, which means it just reduces to a very simple x by 2, and suddenly the question becomes very, very simple. So, now f of x is x by 2. That's all. Okay, that's the first thing. If you don't know this, the other long cut is obviously that you rationalize under the root, multiply with 1 minus cos x. So, in the denominator, you will have 1 plus into cos x into 1 minus cos x, 1 minus cos square x, sin square x. Root of that will be sin x, and in the numerator will be 1 minus cos x the whole square, and the root will get cancelled. You will have 1 minus cos x upon sin x, and then you take it from there. Okay. I think these half angle formulas are not very, very rare. You should be knowing this. This makes the question very, very quick and doable. Okay. So, now we go to f of x is equal to x by 2, right? So, we need to find a slope. So, slope is going to be what? Slope is going to be the derivative of x by 2. Derivative of x by 2 is nothing but half. So, if the slope of this guy is half, what is the slope of normal? Normal obviously is perpendicular. Perpendicular is so minus 1's reciprocal, or rather negative reciprocal of half. Negative reciprocal of half is nothing but minus 2. So, the slope of the normal is minus 2. Okay. So, now if I have to find the y, see x I already know at pi by 3. If I have to find y is what? F of pi by 3. Correct? The value of x. Correct? Which is nothing but x by 2. So, x by 2 is pi by 3 times 1 by 2, which is nothing but pi by 6. So, the value of y is pi by 6. So, which means our point of intersection is pi by 3 comma pi by 6. X is pi by 3, y is pi by 6. So, pi by 3, pi by 6, I am going to say option A. Moving on to the next question, time, speed, distance question. But again, we are in Bangalore mock, not the easiest of time, speed, distance, but again, not very, very difficult also. So, yes, Yasin was traveling from A to B, traveled 1/5 at 10 kilometers, 3/20th at 15, remaining he traveled some part. Okay, so no other fractions are given. So, 320 and 1/5, I am going to assume my distance to be 20 kilometers. Okay, so let's say city A, city B, 1/5 of 24 kilometers. So, the first 4 kilometers he is traveled at 10 kilometers per hour. Then 3/20th, so another 3 kilometers. That he has traveled at what? 15 kilometers per hour. And the whatever is remaining, so out of 20, 13 kilometers are remaining now. That 13, some part he has traveled at 20 and some part he has traveled at 12 is what they are saying. average speed for the entire trip was 16 kilometers per hour. What part of the entire trip did Yasin cover at 20 kilometers per hour? Great. Okay. So now first let's find out the total time taken. We know the total distance 20. We know the total average speed. Average speed is 16. So the time is what? Distance by speed. So total time is total distance, which is 20 by speed, which is 16. So this is 5 by 4 hours. 5 by 4 hours is 5 by 4 into 60, 75 minutes. Okay. Or you can think of in terms of minutes, or maybe 1.25 hours, 1.25 of an hour. Great. Now let's see how much time he has spent in the first leg of the journey and the second leg of the journey, and therefore how much time he has to spend in the last part of the journey. So in the first leg of the journey, a speed of 10 kilometers per hour, 10 kilometers in 60 minutes, 10 kilometers in 60 minutes, 1 kilometer in 6 minutes. So 4 kilometers in 24 minutes, which means this part is 24 minutes. I hope this calculation is clear. Speed they have given as 10 kilometers per hour. So 10 kilometers in 60, 1 kilometer in 6, 4 kilometers therefore in 4 into 6, 24 minutes. Second part, speed is 15 kilometers per hour. 15 kilometers in 60 minutes. So 1 kilometer in 4 minutes. Therefore 3 kilometers in 12 minutes. So this is 12 minutes. So he has already exhausted 36 minutes out of the 75 minutes that he has with himself, which means what is left is 75 minus 36, 39 minutes. Correct? So he needs to cover what? He needs to cover 13 kilometers in 39 minutes. 13 kilometers in 39 minutes. Kilometers per minute. So this is 1 and 3. So 1 kilometer in 3 minutes. So if I multiply this with 20, I'll get a hourly rate, which means this is 20 kilometers in 60. So he has to go at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour to make up the final bridge in 75 minutes, which means he has to cover this whole stretch at 20 kilometers per hour. So what have they said? What part of the entire trip did Yasin cover? So Yasin has covered 13 kilometers at 20 kilometers per hour. So we are going to say 13 by 20 of the whole trip he covered at 20 kilometers per hour. Do we have that in the option? Yes. So option A is going to be our answer. Moving on to the next question, one of the easiest in the current mock, okay. Set theory and Cartesian product. Cartesian product of AB intersection with Cartesian product of BA, we are trying to find a number of elements. They have given the cardinality of A intersection B as 10. Now, A Cartesian A cross B intersection B cross A is nothing but A intersection B cross B intersection A. It's as simple as this, okay. A intersection B, the cardinality is given as 10. Obviously, if A intersection B is 10, B intersection A also has to be 10. So this is nothing but 100 elements in the product that we are asked. Option A, straightforward. Moving on to the next question now. F of x is given as mod of x by 2. G of x is root 3 cos x plus sin x minus 1 for all real number. Then there is also a square bracket greatest integer function. We are trying to find a range, and range also of f of g. Not a very simple function. So yes, slightly difficult category. But yes, if you've done your functions, this is again doable, not very, very difficult. The function is of the type of cos x plus sin x. So what you should know is if there is a function of the type a sin x plus b cos x. So what is the range of this function? The range of this function will be under root of a square plus b square with a minus and less than plus under root of a square plus b square. Okay, this is simple and this is always not very, very rare in the maxima minima part. Okay, so a sin x b cos x is minimum range will be under root a square plus b square with a minus sign. Maximum range will be under root of a square plus b square with a positive sign. Great. So we have a as 1 and b as root 3. So if I have to find the left hand part, minus of under root of a square plus b square, it is going to be equal to what? 1 square plus root 3 square. So 1 plus 3, 4's root 2. So minus 2 less than root 3 cos x plus sin x less than 2. Correct? In the question, there is also a minus 1. So now I'm going to subtract 1 from all the three sides. So I'm writing a minus 1 here, minus 1 here, and minus 1 here. Okay, so what we now have is minus 3 less than root 3 cos x plus sin x minus 1, which is nothing but g of x. So let me just write it as, let me just write it as g of x for now. And this is nothing but 1, 2 minus 1. We are not trying to find g of x. We have to find square bracket of f of g. Let's worry about square bracket later. We are trying to find f of g of x. G of x is, what is f of g of x? F of g of x is nothing but whatever we give to f, you have to, or whatever is the input to f, you just divide by 2, because f of x is x by 2, correct? So if we are giving input as g, so we have to divide g by 2, which means I'm going to do this, therefore this, and therefore this. Okay, so g of x by 2 is nothing but f of x. We still haven't taken mod. F also needs a mod. So now I'm going to take a mod here, therefore take a mod here, and therefore take a mod here. Now suddenly what happens? Half, positive half stays positive half. Minus 3 by 2's mod becomes 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 is the bigger number, 0.5 is the smaller number. So it will exactly reverse. So half less than mod of g of x by 2 less than 3 by 2. That is what we are getting. So this is nothing but 0.5 less than f of g and less than 1.5. Now if I have to do the last step, which is a square bracket, so this is what we are asked, therefore this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do. So greatest integer less than 0.5 is 0, greatest integer less than 1.5 is 1. So 0, 1 is going to be our range, option C. Okay, moving on to the next DI set, one of the two DI sets that were asked in the paper. This set, I would say 50%, 2 questions of this set were very, very easy, should have definitely been done. 2 were very lengthy, not difficult at all, but very lengthy. Let's see this. So the first question, number of girls in 11th in school S3 is approximately what percent of number of boys in 9th in S2? Okay, let's first go to 11th school S3, 11th and school S3, so that is 100. We have boys, 65% are boys, so 35% will be girls, which means there are 35 girls because the total is only 100. The base or the denominator is going to be what? Number of boys in 9th in S2. 9th S2, 150 and 30. So 30% of 150 because boys is only asked, so 45. 10%, 15, 30%, 45, correct? So 35 on 45, cancel with 5, so you have a 7 by 9. 1 by 9 is 11.11, 7 by 7 into 11.11, 77.77. I'm going to say option D as my answer. Moving on to the next one now. In class 12th, number of girls in the school is more than the combined number of girls in the school dash and dash. In fact, there is a blank missing here. There is a blank here. So in class 12, number of girls in which school is more than the combined number of girls in the other 2 schools. So basically, we are trying to find number of girls in all the 4 schools. Okay. So let's quickly do this. S1, S2, S3 and S4. We are talking about class 12th only, remember. So in class 12 in S1 out of 125, 80% are boys. So 20% will be girls, which means 25 are girls. In S2 out of 100, 45 are boys, 45%. So 55% will be girls and 100. So 55 directly. Now in S3, what is happening? 120 students and 60% are boys. So 40%. 40% of 124 into 12, 48. And in S4, 150 and 40% boys. So 60%. So 60 into 15, 90. So we have the number of girls in 12th across all 4 schools. We are saying which school is more than the combined number. Clearly 90 is the biggest number. So S4 should be our first part. Combined of 55 and 48 will be more than 90. So 55 and 25 should be our answer, S1 and S2. So S4, S1, S2 should be our answer. S4, S1, S2, yes. Option C is our answer here. Moving on to the third and the fourth question. These are the lengthier questions. In an exam, I am completely alright if you have skipped this. consciously knowing that there's a lot of calculation. Okay, but yes, I am going to actually calculate all the boys and all the girls across all the standards to be able to answer this question. They have asked us correct arrangement of classes in the ascending order of number of boys, which means in each class, in class 9, in class 10, in class 11, and in class 12, what is the correct arrangement? And I'm assuming that, not assuming, but yes, it's for all the schools. So we'll have to calculate the total of S1 boys in 9th, total of S2 in 9th and 10th, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we have to arrange in the ascending order. You'll have to actually do the whole painful calculation. In this question itself, I'm also going to solve girls because that is what is going to be required in the next question. Great. Okay, numbers are not very difficult, so that's one good thing about the set. So S1 9, there is 120 students and 40% are boys. So 40% of 120, 4 into 12, 48. So 48 are boys. And therefore 6 into 6 into 12, 12, so if 48 are boys, 72 must be girls to make up the total of 120. Okay. Moving on quickly, 30% of 90, so 27, therefore this has to be 63. 60% of 150, so this is 90, and therefore this has to be 60. 80% of 125 is 100, and 125, 25, just 25. Okay. Next row in S2, I'm going to 30% of 150, so 45, and therefore this has to be 105, girls. Correct. 55% of 100, so simple, 55, therefore this has to be 45. 50% of 120, so 60 and 60. 45% of 100, so 45, therefore the other has to be 55. Clear? Moving on to S3 now. 20% of 140, so 20%, so 28. 28 should give me 80%, so 112. 112 and 28 will take me to 120 and 20, 140, correct. 40% of 120, 4 into 12, 48. So if it is 48, this has to be 72. 65 of 100, so 65, therefore this guy has to be 35. 60 of 120, 60% of 120, 6 into 12, 72, therefore 48. Last, 35% of 100, so 35, therefore this is 65. 45% of 100, so 45, therefore this is 55. 80% of 80, so 64, therefore 16, and 40% of 150, so 30, no, not sorry, 30, 60 rather, and therefore this has to be 90. Great. Okay, so now I found out all girls, all boys across schools and across standards. Now, for all schools, correct arrangement of classes in the ascending order of the number of boys. So for all schools in the ascending order of number of boys. So for 9th, what is the total coming to be? 48 and 45, so 80 and 13, 93. 93 and 20, in fact, let's just quickly do this. 8 and 5, 13, 13 and 8, 21, 21 and 5, 26, 2 carry, 10, 10 and 5, 156. So this total is 156. This total will be 7 plus 5, 12, 12 and 8, 20, 25, 2 carry, 4, 9, 9 and 8, 70, 175. This is 9 and 15, 15 and 12, 27. And this is 5 into 7. And no carry, yeah. So 5, 5 and 7, 12, 12 and 6, 18, 187. So if I have to arrange this in the ascending order, I'm going to start with what? 9th standard, then go to 10th standard, then go to 12th standard, and then go to finally 11th standard. So 9, 10, 12, 11. 9, 10, 12, 11. Yes, option A is finally fitting. So yes, option A is our answer. Moving on to the next question now, arranging schools in the descending order of the total number of girls. Descending order, and we have to arrange schools. Let me just go back to the previous slide where we calculated the number of girls. We will now calculate a school-wise girl total, not standard-wise total. So school-wise, so we are going to now add rows, and we have to then arrange schools in the descending order. Okay, so 72, 63, 60 and 5. So 2 plus 3, 5 and 5 is 10 with 1 carry. So 8 and 6, 14, 14 and 6, 20 and 22. So 220 is the total here. 5 plus 5, 10, 10 and 5, 15 with 1 carry. So 1 plus 4, 5, 5 and 6, 11, 11 and 5, 16 with 1 carry, 2. Yeah, so 265 is the total here. 2 plus 2, 4 plus 5, 9, 9 plus 8, 17 with 1 carry. So 2 and 7, 9, 9 and 3, 12, 12 and 4, 16 with another 1 carry. So 2, yes, 267. And finally 5 and 5, 10, 10 and 6, 16. So 1 carry. 7, 7 and 5, 12, 12 and 1, 13, 13 and 9, 22, 226. So if I have to arrange, I think I have to arrange in the descending order. So descending order is 267, which means I have to start with S3, 267, 265, S2, S3, S2, S4 and S1. So 3, 2, 4, 1. Let's see if we have that option. 3, 2, 4, 1. Yes. So option A is going to be the answer. So yes, the last two questions were slightly painful, but not difficult to do. You know, if in case there are few questions that you have to attempt, you could not attempt a lot of these questions, then definitely these two questions should have been attempted in the paper. Moving on to the next question now. Simple profit and loss question, out and out category A. Shopkeeper marks the price of an item 50% above its cost. So I'm going to start only with simplest assumption, CP 100x. Therefore, MP is going to be 50% above 150x. Okay. Festivally offers a sequence of discounts. First, a 20% discount. So there is a 20% discount here. So 30x will be reduced. So you reach at 120x. And then an additional 10% off. So 12x more less. So basically another 10x or 10% more. So you reach at 108x. Correct? Finally gives a further rebate of rupees 30 on the total bill for 10 identical items. So 30 on 10 items means 3 rupees on one item. If after this reduction, he makes a profit of 5%. If you have to understand, these numbers are so simple that 108, actually you can't do 108x minus 3 straight away, because 108x and there is a 3 is a real value. But because the numbers are so simple, had we actually started with 100, 150, 120, 108, now 3 rupees discount, you reach 105, which is 5% profit. So the numbers are fitting, correct? Which means the original cost price was nothing but 100. So the numbers are so simple that is definitely a category A, or in fact something below that also. So I would say option B, rupees 100 should be the cost price of this particular item. Moving on to the next question now. It's a simple inequality, just that it is mod, so we'll have to square it. Otherwise, the question is very simple. I would definitely put this in category A. Okay. 2x plus 5, because it is mod, I'm going to directly start only with squaring, because neither mod nor squares can be negative ever. So less than equal to, let's bring 3 inside. So 6x minus 3, the whole square. And now we just simply solve it. Okay. So 2x plus 5 the whole square. 2x square is 4x squared plus 2 into 2, 4 into 5, 20x plus 25 less than equal to 36x squared, 2 into 6, 12 into 3, 36, again 36x plus 9. Let's bring everybody to the right hand side. So we will have 0 less than or equal to 36x square minus 4, 32x squared, minus 36 minus 20 minus 56x, and 9 minus 25 minus 60. Yes. Okay. I think we can reduce this by 8. So I can write this as 4x squared minus 7x minus 2 greater than or equal to 0. Perfect. So now there is a quadratic 4 and 2. Product is 8x square, sum is minus 7. Product is 8x square and sum is minus 7. So it has to be minus 8 plus 1. Minus 8 plus 1 is minus 8 and minus 7. Yes, this will work. So minus 8 plus 1, it's the splitting of the middle term. I'm doing this directly without writing the quadratic. So minus 8 plus 1 is how I'm splitting. A is not 1, so it will divide by 8. So by 4 by 4. And invert the signs. So this is going to become 2 and this is going to become minus 1 by 4. Also, it is a greater than inequality. Greater than equality means it is outside the critical points or outside the boundary. So, greater than 2 and lesser than minus 1 by 4. Right? Yeah, that's about. So, basically, this is our answer. Greater than 2 and less than minus 1 by 4. Do we have that in the option? Less than minus 1 by 4, greater than 2? Yes. Option C is what we are marking here. Moving on to the next question now. Next question is on matrices and they've given us the characteristic equation of the matrix. So, we are going to solve that. I've just changed the font so that you are able to read this properly. Question is A cube plus K A square plus LA plus M times I, okay, is equal to 0. We are trying to find KL and M. Great. And they've given the condition for the elements of the matrix I plus j. So, we'll directly start by writing the matrix first row, first column. So, 1, 1. So, the first element is only going to be 2. 1, 2, 3 and 1, 3. So, this is 4. So, 2, 3, 4. We will then have a 3, 4, 5 and then we will have a 4, 5 and a 6. Right? Now, we need to get into the characteristic equation, which means this will be minus lambda and minus lambda and then find the determinant value of this. So, determinant value of this is going to be equal to what? This is going to be equal to 2 minus lambda times 4 minus lambda into 6 minus lambda, right? Minus 3 into 3 into 6 minus lambda. So, 3 into 6 is 18 minus 3 lambda. 18 minus 3 lambda. So, yeah, minus 20 plus 4 times 15 minus 4 into 4 is 16 and minus 4 into minus lambda is plus 4 lambda. I hope I have got it right, but anyway, yeah, let's just quickly multiply in the bracket. 4 minus lambda and 6 minus lambda is, so I'm just going to keep 2 minus lambda out for now. 2 minus lambda is out. I'll have 24 minus 10 lambda plus lambda square and yes, I forgot a 5 into 5 there. So, 25 minus 25 there, and then I'm going to just quickly, in fact, let's just keep this here. 18 minus 20 is minus 2 minus 3 lambda and plus 4 times 15 minus 16 is minus 1 plus 4 lambda. Great. Okay, now let's try and open this. So, 2 and 24 minus 25 is basically minus 1. So, this is nothing but minus 1 plus 10 lambda plus lambda square. Great. Okay. So, now I'm going to open this. 2 into minus 1 is minus 2 minus 20 lambda plus 2 times lambda square plus lambda plus 10 times lambda square and finally lambda cube. Perfect. Okay. We go ahead. 3 minus 2 gives me a plus 6 and minus 3 minus 9 gives me a plus 9 lambda. Final term minus 4 and a 16 lambda. This is nothing but equal to 0. Great. Okay. I'm going to now get everybody in the descending order. So, minus lambda cube. How many square terms we have? 10 and 2. So, plus 12 times lambda square. How many lambda terms we have? 20 lambda plus 120, minus 20 plus 1 minus 19 and plus 9 is minus 10. Minus 10 and 6 is plus 6 lambda, correct. And how many constants? Minus 2, 4 and minus 4. So, 0. Perfect. So, this is going to be equal to 0. Let's just multiply with minus sign. So, lambda cube minus 12 lambda square minus 6 lambda is equal to 0. So, the moment you put this in the a minus lambda I is equal to 0, you get what? You get a cube minus 12a square minus 6a equals to 0. Compare this with the equation they have given. You will get L as minus 12, K as minus 12, L as minus 6 and M there is nothing because there is no constant term. So, it is 0. So, KL and M is minus 2, minus 12, minus 6, minus 18, option C. Moving on to the next question, out and out set theory, but very simple question. So, I'm just going to quickly get a diagram. A, B, C, B, 3 sets. A minus B minus C is not equal to. For your understanding, you should think of this as You can rather think of this as A minus B plus C, right? So B plus C is basically B and C. So everything in B union C is B plus C, and minus that, which means if I forgot A, B, C. So if I subtract everything from A, which is either in B or C, which means what? I get this region, right? This is the region we are talking about. This is A minus B minus C. Which option is not equal to this is what we are asked. Great, okay. Let's first get into the first option. A intersection with C complement. C complement is everything outside C. So everything outside C means, wait, let me use a different ink so that you understand. Everything outside C is basically this region, and this region. A intersection with C complement basically will be the first two ticks. Intersection with B complement, which means this tick will be included, correct? Therefore, it is not going to be equal to. But because it is A intersection with B complement, this tick will also go, this tick will also go. So what is left is only this much. It is equal. We don't want it equal. So I'm going to cancel this option. Moving on. Let me just quickly get rid of this. Next option now. A minus B intersection C. What is B intersection C? B intersection C is this part. Correct? This is B intersection C. A minus B intersection C, which means what is left? This is left, and this is left. So it is not equal to A minus B minus C. So we are going to say option B as our answer. Let's just quickly check the third option, A minus B union C. B union C we've done here only, correct? B union C. So that is actually equal to the question. And A minus C minus B is same as A minus B minus C. So this is also equal. So this and this will be eliminated. Option B is going to be our answer here. So yes, definitely a very simple question should have been done in the mock for sure. Moving on to the next question now. Question on infinite GP they've said. In a GP, first term is A, common ratio is R. Sum to infinity is S, okay. Second term of the GP is equal to the negative sum to infinity. What is the value of square bracket R? Square bracket is the greatest integer function. First term they've given as A. Second term they've given as, you know the formula, S is equal to A upon 1 minus R, sum to infinity. They've said negative of this, which means the second term is minus of A upon 1 minus R. From the first term to second term, what do you think we have multiplied to reach from first to second? We have multiplied minus 1 upon 1 minus R. Only then we will reach the second term. So actually that is the common ratio. So we can say R and minus 1 upon 1 minus R, they have to be equal. Because they have said R is the common ratio. And by the observation of first and second term, we know that if you multiply minus 1 upon 1 minus R, you will reach the second term, correct? So let's quickly multiply this. So we have R minus R square plus 1 equals to 0. So R square minus R minus 1 equals to 0. I don't think we'll be able to factorize this. I'm just quickly going to calculate the the formula method, B square minus 4AC method, minus B. So minus of minus B here is going to be 1 plus or minus B square minus 4AC. B square is 1, 4 times 1 and C. So 1 plus 4 upon 2A, which is nothing but 2. So 1 plus root 5 by 2 and 1 minus root 5 by 2. They have said, this is basically what the value of R. They have said R is less than 1, correct? 1 plus root 5. Root 5 is bigger than root 4, correct? So root 5, let's assume simplicity 2.1 or 2.2 for that matter. 2.2 plus 1 is 3.2. 3.2 upon 2. 3.2 upon 2 is 1.6. It is bigger than 1. So positive possibility can be definitely ignored. So R's value is going to be 1 minus root 5 by 2. Okay, 1 plus root 5 cannot be because it is going to be bigger than 1. Right? Okay. We are trying to find the greatest integer function of R. Now, quickly, what will this be? Root 5, just simplicity, we had assumed 2.1 or 2.2. Let's say 1 minus 2.2. 1 minus 2.2. 1 minus 2.2 will take us where? 2.2 and you have to subtract 1. So it is minus 1.2. Minus 1.2 on 2 is nothing but minus 0.6-ish. Minus 0.6, greatest integer but lesser than minus 0.6. It is going to be minus 1. Okay, so option B is our answer for square bracket of R. Moving on to the next question. This question, if you understood it correctly, it is, I think it is not even A category. It is simpler than that also. It's a very, very obvious sitter. If you draw the diagram of this question, this is how it's going to look like. It's a circle and 3 equidistant points, which means when you draw and the wires basically are forming equilateral triangle. Now, they say the radius is 15. So, let's say from here, the center, this part is 15. Okay. Connected with each other, perpendicular distance of the wire connecting any two lights from the center to the swimming pool, which means this is what they have asked. Important, what you have to understand is the property of equilateral triangle. In an equilateral triangle, the median, the altitude, angle bisector, perpendicular bisector, they are all same. Plus that point, the guy in the middle, the centroid, divides in the ratio 2:1. Correct? Which means if I just extend this further, this is going to be equal to this, and this is 15. Ratio is 2:1. So the perpendicular bit is nothing but half of 15, 7.5. And that's about it. Option D, 7.5. Yes, you could not have missed this particular question. Moving on to the next question. Again, I think it was a simple question here. It's a frequency. The sample set data is repeated and we are trying to find arithmetic mean of those. So, starting with the simplest, the formula that we all know, mean is nothing but summation of Fi times Xi divided by summation of Fi. Now, what have they said? They have said that all the labels are squares and the frequency is root of m, correct? Which means 1 occurs 1 times, 4 is occurring twice, 9 is occurring thrice, 16 will occur 4 times, and so on and so forth, correct? So, if I have to actually rather list down Xi is nothing but 1, 4, 9, 16, so on and so forth. Fi is nothing but 1 simple 2, 3, 4 and so on. So, summation of Fi into Xi, 1 into 1, 2 into 4 is rather 2 cube, 3 into 9 is 3 cube, 4 into 16 is 4 cube, so on and so forth, correct? So, mean is summation of n square into n. So, I am just going to write summation of n cube upon summation of n. Now, you should know it becomes a very simple formula. Summation of cubes of the first n natural numbers, n into n plus 1 by 2 times the whole squared, divided by summation of the first n natural numbers, n into n plus 1 by 2. Obviously, this whole denominator can cancel 1 times the numerator. What you are left with is n into n plus 1 by 2. Correct? We are going to say option B as our answer. Such questions, it's a very simple question, so this method is okay. I generally don't prefer this method for such questions. In such questions, I always start by assuming values. I assume value as n equal to 1, then 1, 1. For n is equal to 2, what could have been the values? 3, and then check the options. Okay, this was a very simple, straightforward formula, so this is absolutely okay. But such questions where there is no particular constraint given, you should be open to assuming values and then check which option also gives you that value. Okay, so that also can be an alternative method to this question. Moving on to the next question. Next question is on inequalities. So, Arun scored some points in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th basketball games. Points per game average was higher after 9 than it was after the first 5 games. And whatever, there is one more condition given. Average after 10 games was greater than 19, the least number of points he could have scored in the 10th game. When I solved this, I actually could work, I actually thought there can be 2 correct options. We'll discuss how. Let's first start the question. So, I'm assuming A to be the average of the first 5 games. A to be the average of the first 5 games, which means the total of the first 5 games is going to be 5A. Correct? The next 4 games is 25, 13 and 12, another 25. So, 50 and 22, 72. So, the other 4 games is 72. So, 5A plus 72 is a total of 9 games. Which means divide by 9 is the average of the 9 games. This they are saying average of 9 games was greater than the average of the first 5 games. So, I am going to start with this. Average of the first 5 was A, right? Multiplying both sides with 9, I get 5A plus 72 greater than 9A. Subtracting 5A from both sides, I get 72 greater than 4A. A less than or 18 greater than A. So, I directly get A less than 18 from here. So, the average of the first 5 games must be less than 18. Now, I am not doing anything for now, just keeping this as it is and going ahead. Now, let's assume that in the 10th game, that guy scored X runs for just for assumption, which means we will do 5A plus 72. 5A total the first 5, 72 the next 4 and 10th we get X. So, now the average is 10, correct? This they have said after 10 games, the average was greater than 19. So I'm going to write this as greater than 19. Okay, I hope this much is clear so far. So 5a plus 72 plus x by 10 greater than 19. So 5a plus 72 plus x greater than 190. Therefore, 5a plus x greater than 190 minus 72. Correct? 190 minus 72, 90 minus 72, 118. So this is 118. This is where I'm reaching. Now, what is important? They have told me that least number of points that he could have scored in the 10th game. I have to minimize the 10th game score. I have to minimize the value of x. Okay. I have to minimize the value of x. For this to be minimized, this guy has to be as high as possible. Correct? What is the highest possible value of a? We know a is less than 18. Highest possible value of a, let's take as 18 for now. Okay, because I want to work with the highest number. So 5 into 18 is 90. Therefore, from here, this guy is going to now become 90. In fact, let me just use the same ink. So now this guy is going to become 90 because I'm assuming the highest possible value of a. 90 goes there, 118 minus 90 is 28. So x is greater than 28 is what I'm getting. So the minimum possible value of x, which is greater than 28, I'm going to mark my option B, 29 as my answer here. One more approach that I told you that I was confused between two options. See, A is less than 18. So average of the first 5 games less than 18, which means total of the first 5 games is 18 into 5, 90. So total is less than 90. Total of the first, in fact, let's just write it as sum of the first 5, S5 is less than 90. Correct? This is just another way of writing A less than 18. Correct? So here if I assume 89, I am assuming it can't be in decimal, it has to be some integer values. So I am assuming S5 to be 89. Less than 90, highest possible values 89. So the first 5 is 89. Second 4 we know is 72. Correct? So 89 and 72 will take us to 8 and 7, 15 and 11, 161. Out of 190 total, which is the 10 games total, they say that the grade was 90. So 190 is the minimum number there, correct? It has to be more than 190. So 161. So 161 and 190. It is 29, correct? Which means here the average, the overall average has to be greater than 29. So if you assume it only integers, it will be greater than 29. And in that case, we will mark option C, 30. Okay, so the way the options are designed, or rather the way question is worded, it's a little ambiguous. I will not expect students to know that in a game of basketball, you cannot have points in decimal or something like that, and therefore you work only with integers or not work with integers, etc. So it's a little ambiguous, this particular question. Moving on to the next DI set, slightly tricky because 3 different pies and all pies obviously showing different information, but they are in a way related. So it's a little tricky, but yes, not very difficult. Let's get into it now. First question of this, total number of students in the college is 43,200. 15% of all the female students are in the 4th year. How many female students study in the 4th year? Okay, so the total students in the college is 43,200 and the female, if you see, females is 37.5%. 37.5 you should know is 3 by 8. So 3 by 8 of 43,200. Last 3 digits 200 divisible by 8 definitely cancel. So this is 5, 32 is 4, 5,400. 3 into 5,400 is 15 and 60, 162, 16,200. Correct? Yes, so this is the total number of females. They have said 15% of all females study in the 4th year. So 15% of this, 10% 1620, 5% 810, half of that. So 0, 3, 2, 4. So 2430, we're going to say option A as our answer here. Moving on to the next one now. Total number of students in the college 39,600. 5,940 of the students in the 1st year are females. What percent of all the female students study in the 1st year? So 5,940 they said are females in the 1st year. We need to find 1st year females upon total females percentage. So we have to find total females, correct? So the total females, total we know is 39,600. So again, we're going to do the same calculation, 3 by 8 of 39,600. Very important is the totals in each question, a new data is given. So there is nothing like carrying forward the data from the previous question. Okay, again, last 3 digits 600, definitely divisible by 8. So this is 8 into 4, 32, 76 means 9. 445, so 4950. 3 into 4950, 3 into 5000 should be 15,000 and 50 less, so 14,850 is my answer. Are the total females, and 5940 rather. So 5940 upon 14,850 is what we are trying to find the percentage. Roughly it is 6,000 in the numerator and 15,000 in the denominator. 15,000 and 6,000. So roughly 40% should be the answer. Damn. So I'm definitely removing A and B, but 40 and 42, it's close. I would say at this point, quickly go and use your calculator. Do 594 upon 1485 and you should get your answer. In this particular question, the answer is option C, exact 40%. Moving on to the next one now. There are 12,960 students who are studying in vocational courses. Okay. Quarter of all female students study in the second year. Okay. How many male study in the second year? So total of all the females study, 1/4 of the total females study in the second year. How many males study in the second year is what we are asked. Okay, great. So for the second year, if you see the first pi, it is 108. Very, very important. It is in degrees. 108 degrees. 108 on 360 is actually 30%. So 108 degrees, in other words, can be understood as 30%. So 30% of the total is nothing but 12960. 30% of the total, yes, 12960. So 100% is going to be equal to what? Divide by 3 and add a 0. So if you divide by 3, this is 4, this is 3, this is 2, 0 and a 0. So 43,200. So now what have we found? We found the total number of students in the college. They say quarter of all the females study in the second year of college. So quarter of all the females. How many females we have? We have 3 by 8 females. Into in fact 1/4 of the total 43,200. So let's cancel this. 43 is 5, 32 is 4 and 0 0, and this should be equal to 1 and 14 means 3 into 4 12 and 20, so 5 0. 3 into 135, 300 and 4050. Yes, so 4050 is what I'm getting. 4050 are the females studying in the second year of college. I have factored in the 1/4. So we have to find how many males are studying. So total. And see, if you understand in the second year, if you see from this diagram, second year is also 108, which means the same 30%. So now we don't have to again calculate 30% of 43,200. We already know it is 12,960. So it is 12,960 minus 4050. Correct? 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 5, 1. 12 minus 129 minus 40, 129 minus 40 is 89. 8910 should be the answer. Option A. Moving on to the last question of this set now. They've said total number of students in the third year of the college is 11,520. 6% of all the female students in the college are third year science. How many male students in the college study science in the third year? Perfect. Okay. So what we have to now go is third year. So 72 degrees. So 72 degrees on 360, 10 and 20. So basically this is nothing but 20%. That is equivalent to 11520. Therefore 100% will be equivalent to what? Into 5. Correct? So 0 into 5 is 0, 2 into 5, 10 with 1 carry, 5 into 5, 25 plus 1, 26 with 2 carry, 5 plus 2, 7 and 5. So 57,600 is our total. Correct? This is our total number of students. Now what we need to find? We have to find, they've said 6% of all female students in the college are third year science students. So first we need to find the total number of females. Total number of females you know is 3/8. So 3/8 of 576 with 2 zeros. So 8 7 56 and 16. So 27200. 3 into 7200 is nothing but 21600. Now 21600 is the total female, 6% of 21600. 21600, how do we find 6%? 1% is 216, so 216 into 6. 216 into 6 is 2 into 6, 1200, and 16 into 6, 96. So 1296. So 1296 are what? These are the total number of the female students in the third year. What are the total number of students in the third year? Total number of students in the third year, or rather total number of students in the science. Science is what? 45 degrees. 45 degrees is 45 into 2, 90, and 1/4. So 1/8. 45 is 1/8, correct? So 1/8 of the total. 1/8 of the total is what? 11520. That's the total number of students. So this is going to take me where? 11 means 1, and then 3, 35. 35, so 4, and 32, so 4, 0. Correct. So 1440 are the total number of third year science students. 1296 is the total number of third year science females. So what we are trying to find is 1440 minus 1296. So 10 minus 6 is 4, 13 minus 9, 13 minus 9. Yeah, so that should 1440, in fact 1300, so 140 and 144. Yeah, directly we can do this. So yes, we are going to say option A, 144 as our answer. Moving on to the next question. Again, simple category question, definitely should have been done. Article costing 80, marked 25% above the cost price. So CP is 80, 25%, 1/4 of 80, 20 above that. So MP is 100. After offering a discount of X%, customer now pays 81. So SP is 81. Therefore, discount is clearly 19%. Very, very simple, right? If the marked price is increased twice successively by X%, so 19 and 19 successive 2 times. So 19 plus 19 plus 361 on 100, 38 and 3.61, 41.61. Correct? And sold at the new mark price. So the new MP is nothing but 141.61 because I'm increasing by 41.61. So new mark price is 41.61. Okay, then what have they asked? Profit would be what percent more than the profit when selling price was 81. When the selling price was 81, what was the profit? Profit was 1 on the base of 80. And now what is the profit? Now the profit is actually 141.61 minus 80 is 61.61. Correct? 61.61 of what it was earlier, which is 1. So 1 has now become 61.61. So it is becoming 61.61 times. So which means we are going to say 81 it is. So this will be 60.61. So 6061%. Correct? Into 100 when we do, this is what you are going to get. So option D, 6061% is what we are going to mark. Moving on to the next one, very simple set theory question or rather relation question. They have said which of the following is an equivalence relation. For equivalence relation, you need to know 3 properties. One is reflexive. Reflexive means if there is an element X, there has to be a mirror image of X. Then there is symmetric. If symmetric means if there is an element X comma Y, then there should be an element called Y comma X. And transitive. Question is very simple, you don't need this, but just that there is a chance for me to explain, so I am doing this. Transitive, if there is an element X comma Y and there is an element Y comma Z, then there should be an element X comma Z. If this all the 3 are satisfied, then the relation is an equivalence relation. If you look at the options are very, very simple. X minus 3y is equal to 0, X is equal to 3y. X is equal to 3y will not satisfy reflexive itself, so this is out. 3x minus y is 10, so 3x is equal to 10 plus y. Correct? 3x is equal to 10 plus y will not satisfy neither reflexive nor symmetric. So this is out. X minus y is equal to 10. Again, x is equal to 10 plus y, so reflexive not happening. Final is the answer. X minus y is equal to 0, so you know x is equal to y. Even if reflexive is satisfied, transitive and symmetric will always be satisfied. Okay, so option D, x minus y is equal to 0 is a reflexive, rather equivalence relation. Okay, moving on to the last question now. What have they said? Perimeters of a regular hexagon and a regular octagon are equal. Find the ratio of the area of octagon to the area of hexagon. We know the formula for area of regular hexagon. The trick here in this question is to know, or rather derive, the formula for area of a regular octagon. So let's try that. It's a regular octagon. You should know sum of all the angles is always 360 into n minus 2. So 360 into 6 is the sum of all the angles. Divide by 8 will give us each individual interior angle. So in an octagon, each interior angle is 135 degrees. Let's say this is the center. Basically, if we have to draw triangles, if you can understand, there will be 8 such isosceles triangles. So to understand this very simply, if I have to try and find the area of the regular octagon, it is going to be 8 times the area of this particular triangle. So let's first focus on this. Let's assume the side to be S for simplicity. Okay, dropping a perpendicular from here. Now, 135 was the interior angle. So this whole thing is 135. Therefore, this part is going to be 62.5. Correct? This 67.5 rather. Yeah. So this is where we are going to use this particular bit. Okay, 67.5. And it's an isosceles triangle. So the central angle is going to be 45 and therefore this is 22.5. Okay. Let's call this guy as theta. So tan theta is nothing but opposite by adjacent. Let's call this guy as A. So this is nothing but A by S by 2, half of that, right? So because the whole thing is S, so this is S by 2. Tan theta is S by 2 or tan 67.5 is S by 2. Tan 67.5 is nothing but root 2 plus 1. So root 2 plus 1 is equal to 2A by S, right? So we now what I have to understand is think about can we substitute A in terms of S or S in terms of A. Now, for area, what do we need to find? We need to find area as 8 times this triangle. So area of octagon is 8 times half into base into height. What is our base? Base is S into height, which is A. And what we can find the value of A? S into root 2 plus 1 from here divided by 2. Correct? From here, you know that A is S times root 2 plus 1 by 2. So that I have substituted here. So 8 times half into base into height is my thing. So 2 and 2, 4, and this will give me 2. So 2s squared and root 2 plus 1 is what we have. Okay. 2s squared root 2 plus 1 looks like it. Okay, great. Now, S is nothing but side of an octagon, correct? What have they said? They have said the perimeter of the both are equal. Let's say the perimeter of octagon is P. If perimeter of octagon is P, one side will be P by 8, correct? So, just writing this formula once again, in fact, let me write it here for the better visibility. We have to trying to find area ratio of octagon upon hexagon. So, I'm first writing octagon's formula. Octagon, we just found out 2s square root 2 plus 1, correct? 2s square root 2 plus 1, 2 times, instead of s square, I'm going to write P by 8 the whole square. P by 8 the whole squared times root 2 plus 1, correct? Upon area of a regular hexagon. What is the formula for area of rectangular hexagon? 3 root 3 by 2 side square. So 3 root 3 by 2 times side. Side of a hexagon is got, our perimeter is P because they are equal. P by 6 this is going to become. So P by 6 the whole square. Correct? Yes. Okay. Now what we can do? Let's first bring this 2 in the numerator. I don't think I'll be able to write that. So basically, my next step is going to be what? 4 times P squared. And 64 I'm going to write in the denominator. 36 I'm writing above into root 2 plus 1. The whole thing is divided by 3 root 3. The 64 coming down and a P square, and I've conveniently forgotten P square on the numerator also. Great. So P square and P square can go home now. 4 P, oh no, I had written, no, so P square I'm cancelling with P square. Okay, so now what is left? Let's first cancel 3 with 36 to give us a 12. 4 and a 12, 64. So 4 will cancel 64 16 times, and 16 and 12. 16 and 12 we have 3 by 4. So let me write it again here. So 3 by 4 times root 2 plus 1, and there is a root 3 remaining in the denominator. Yeah, okay. So root 3 and this guy will cancel and we'll have root 3. So if I bring the root 3 inside, I'm going to get root 6 plus root 3 by 4. Do we have such an option? Root 6 plus root 3 by 4? Yes, we have. Option A is going to be the answer. So I think again, the only important bit was to find out the area of regular octagon. That's about it. Hexagon you should know. And other than that, the question is pretty doable. So yes, we come to the end of the quant section. I think around 10, 11 questions were from core maths, and the other good 17, 18 questions were from the aptitude maths. So all the maybe non-maths kind of students, non-maths as in people who don't like maths or not good at maths, should have done at least 17, 18 questions for sure. People who are good at maths definitely should have attempted 23, 24, even 25 questions, because we have time in the exam. So yes, that's about it. We come to the end of the quant section. I will see you in the LR section of this particular sample mock. All the best and do well.